Okay, friends, two short dream visions. One the previous night, one last night, the 27th and 28th of January 2023. These dreams are warnings, but they're also an encouragement. It's going to be obvious when you see this. So the first dream, somehow I've returned to the United States and I'm hungry. So I asked my friends, like, hey, can we get some food somewhere? They said, yeah, there's a place right up here. And we stop and it's this really ugly mall. And one end of it has the Anchor store, which is some kind of a restaurant. And it's either a Chinese food restaurant or it's owned by the Chinese. But it's the Anchor store in this mall. And the whole mall is owned by the Chinese. And these guys drive around with trucks just full of parts, looking for a place where they can build a mall. And when they get access to some piece of land, these things go up really fast. Like they're like pros at this thing. So they're setting up all these malls all over the United States, as many as they can. They have these restaurants in there, and it's like a legitimate mall. There's different little kiosk stores in there. One of them is a bookstore. So I see that this thing is ugly. It's like painted yellow and red and green and blue, and these are colors that I see in dreams associated with demonic spirits. We'll often see them vibrating radiating in these kind of colors. Like it's a bean, but instead of having like a color of skin on the outside, it's just light, and these colors wash through it. Red and neon green, blue, yellow. And that's how these malls are painted, which just indicates to me that it's not just China, or we see it as China, but it's a demonic power behind it. So China, their influence is growing in the United States. That's what I saw. So now I lived in Ukraine 10 years. And now I'm coming up on 10 months in Sweden after the Russian invasion. And the dream, I've returned, and this is what I see. I also see, I go into this, there's a bookstore there, and there's a shelf in the bookstore. It looks like the shelves that you used to see at like a Borders bookstore or Barnes & Noble. Nice wood shelves, kind of long, maybe 2.5 feet each section. And it's just loaded with my books. And there are some slots there. I see that people have been buying them. The general message there is, and especially when you see the second dream, you understand better. The enemy will increase in power and influence, but believers will still be blessed. So even in the midst of that, I myself am blessed. Like God blesses my book sales. I'm going to put a little plug at the end of this video. I'll show you the different books I've been doing lately. It's something that the Holy Spirit is really leading me toward. I wrote something that I'm really excited about called prophetic fiction. And again, that's something that the Lord's been doing with me. And he showed me in this dream, like, it's going to go well for you. So it's an encouragement for me. But more than that, it's an encouragement for all those who are putting their faith in God. Now, the second dream from last night, really interesting because some people were talking to me about, the coming end times wars and where will Mexico stand. And there was a particular conversation about Mexico. And so God wanted to show me something about that because I've seen skirmishes in the American Southwest. Well, I had a dream years ago, and first they were battling Mexicans, and then they were battling Japanese soldiers, and then they were battling Mexicans and Japanese collaborating together as one force. This shows a river, and it could have been the Rio Grande, could have been something else, I don't know. But the American army was on one side, and the Mexican army was on the other. And this general is in the command tent. There's like a small upcropping. So in the location where they are, it's kind of uphill toward the Mexican side. So that gives them a slight advantage. But also the fact that when the Americans are assaulting, they are forced to cross this river and climb the embankment on the opposite side. And that's giving time for the Mexicans to pick off the soldiers. So this general, he's tried a couple things. I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 attacks at least, and they hadn't worked out at all. So now they're in the command tent overlooking this battlefield, and the general says, this isn't working. I've had different ideas, and they didn't work out. He said, I don't think it's possible. We won't be able to get a beachhead. We won't be able to occupy a large piece of land on the enemy side so that we can, begin to advance against them. He said, it just can't be done. So he announces that he's leaving, and I suspect that he didn't just feel fruitless. He was afraid. He was afraid that maybe he might be killed in that tent so close to a battlefield where he was unable to overcome his enemies, the enemies of the United States. So when he's gone, there are these 2 young lieutenants or just junior officers. They could have been captains or something. And they say, well, we're going to pray about it. So they pray, and they have a vision, and God gives them a battle plan. Like, he gives them a whole battle plan. They attack on one flank. The Mexicans respond by moving troops and firepower, but they don't advance, so no men are killed in an attack. They just start opening fire from that side. So the Mexicans think, oh, they're going to attack because previous attacks had come. They don't attack. Instead, they attack on the other flank. They attack at the other end of the line. And now the Mexicans are weak there. By the way, that's a tactic that the Ukrainians used in Ukraine. They pretended they were going to launch an attack in the south. The Russians reallocated their troops and resources, and then the Ukrainians attacked in the north instead. That's when they made that big counteroffensive and regained whatever it was, 20% of the total landmass that Russia had occupied. So this is what the Americans do. And they get across the river. There's a low point there. They get across, and they really drive back the Mexican lines. And they gain a big foothold inside on the other side of this river. The dream didn't show where the river was, but I just thought it was interesting that the Holy Spirit wanted to show me that. What happens is the people of the world, the general, he didn't have any faith. He was like, well, I tried everything in his own mind. Okay, this is so important to notice. And it didn't work for him. He was unable to defeat his enemies, the men that he was positioned there to fight. But some lieutenants, right, some low-ranking officers, they put their trust in God. They prayed, Lord, please show us how to do this. And they had faith, and they enacted the plan that God showed them in a major battle, and they won. They overcame by following God. So you see, again, how much more terse and dangerous, life-threatening can you get than an actual battle, large-scale battle? And the sense I had was that the casualty rate on the American side was almost nothing, if not nothing, because God was with them. These men prayed. And so in the morning, after they've captured all this land, the general comes back. It's like late in the morning. He's like, tell me what you did. And they said, oh yeah, we prayed. We prayed. God showed us how to do like this. That's what they did. They had a battle plan from prayer. God can be with you in any scenario. Your marriage, he's there. Ask him. He loves you. Your business, he's there. War, he's there. You need something to eat, pray. This is the time when we all need to pray and put our trust in God, my friends. And these two dreams, they say, yeah, sure, the enemy, they're going to grow in power. But put your trust in God, because he is able to provide. He can bless you in the storm, and he can give you victory. And he can snatch it away from the enemy and deliver it to you on a silver platter, because he is truly omnipotent, and he can destroy any and every work of the enemy. So put your faith in God, my friends. This is Robert Avila. Now I'm going to show you a string of my books here. I think they're great books, especially if you're looking to draw near to God. All of my books have the intention of serving that purpose. So pray or be defeated.